Hello and welcome to Pulibrus Fireside Chats. Not as good as ours, but hey, it's something. This is gonna be just an average episode that I didn't know what to do when I went to record it, but whatever. So let's get right into the news. The first story is going to be an interesting side story that nobody seems to be talking about because it's not, I guess, that important, but it's pretty interesting. BET co-founder Bob Johnson urges Black Lives Matter to form political party. In the following letter from last week, multimillionaire Bob Johnson, co-founder of the Black Entertainment Television and former majority owner of NBA's Charlotte Bobcats, encouraged the Black Lives Matter movement to form a political party. I am writing to you with the suggestion that the Black Lives Matter movement consider establishing a formal independent political party. The party could be founded on the principle articulated in the founding members of the Congressional Black Congress in 1971. The formative principle stated black people have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. The efforts to create an independent black party is created specifically to address black issues. It is not a new idea among black people. There have been many people, both black and white, who believe independent parties can make such significant contribution to the current political system as to how this nation of 300 million diverse citizens can be governed in the best interest of all Americans. Many pundits will try to convince you that it is impossible for independent parties to exist in this country. They will argue that the American people seem to be satisfied with just two choices. To the contrary, I believe a politically astute and structured black independent party committed and engaging with the electoral process can prove them wrong. I am confident in this assertion because BLM has, in a matter of not seen since the Civil Rights Movement, effectively mobilized and passionately motivated people, black and white, to join in and support your righteous fight against the racial economic injustice, particularly on the matter of unjustified police killing of black people. Your cause has triggered a determined reaction calling for change, heard not only in America, but all around the world. There's more, but I think I justified the point well. You see, everybody sees it. There is potential for there to be a independent movement. The problem is, we never seem to find it at just the right time. It always seems to be every time there's an attempt to start a third political movement in the US, there's always just, oh no, don't do that. We can't do that. Just no. And it's buddy, it's completely possible. The problem is the people sometimes just don't want to do it. Here's the thing. If BLM and all these other, major groups formed, went into the Green Party or, tried to, form their own party, it could 100% work. The problem is, people just try to push it away. I guess technically it's an effort to try and, depoliticize it. Black Lives Matter, if they were a legitimate political party, then technically the other parties would have incentive to go against their platform because they're literally trying to get out of a voting base. But I've established this in a previous podcast episode. If we had a more fair electoral system, we could actually have a decent thing. African Americans, they seem to be a more agreeable voting bloc, so they could hypothetically form their own political party of their own particular interests and work. Hence why the Congressional Black Caucus has been going strong for a while. African Americans, for the most part, are completely united in what they want politically. There are very few people who stray away from it. Even half of the black Republicans that came into the U.S. Congress were yeah, we'll join the Black Caucus. Sure. Especially considering, I don't want to give any stereotypes, but, like, African Americans, one of the stereotypes that people levy against them is that they're loud and stuff. And now here's the thing. How is that a bad thing? I mean, I get it's a bad thing because they're trying to portray African Americans as rude, but the thing is, be honest. Like, look at some of the most influential figures in the modern political scene in their speeches. Who can we honestly think of that do, like, really good speeches? Killer Mike? Nina Turner? Cornel West? Shirley Chisholm? These guys are like, like, they are passionate. They are, if one of these guys literally formed their own, like, BLM party, like a black progressive party or something like that, it could be, well, it could do really well. Especially considering, like I said, African Americans, they usually vote in a very particular block-ish way. It could work. It's not like Latinos, because Latinos, we can't form our own political party, because Latinos, literally, depending on what country we immigrated from, depends on our politics. If you immigrated from Mexico or from, Brazil, you're probably a lefty. But if you immigrated from, like, Cuba or Venezuela, you're probably going to be right-wing. It's just a fact based on their political scenes. Mexico had, like, a whole political scene where they made, like, lefties disappear. And, like, remember, Cuba was, like, the whole communist regime and, whatever. But basically, this thing should be pushed for. Okay, so, next story is coming out of my home state of North Carolina. Dan Forrest will sue Roy Cooper over his coronavirus orders. North Carolina's Republican Lieutenant Governor said Thursday that he plans to sue Democratic Governor Roy Cooper for allegedly violating the state's Emergency Management Act with the executive orders issued during the coronavirus pandemic. In a letter to Cooper on Thursday, Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest said the governor has repeatedly ignored the law, enacting mandates that selectively target businesses and citizens in North Carolina without concurrence from a majority of the Council of State. Cooper has issued several executive orders since the onset of the pandemic. The most recent declaration was issued Wednesday when Cooper ordered people to wear masks in public and extended the second phase of states reopening until July 17th. In his letter, Forrest alleged that Cooper's declarations made it impossible for him and other members of the Council of State, a group of 10 elected officials, including the state's Attorney General and Secretary of State, to fulfill our oaths to uphold the laws of North Carolina. The Emergency Management Act requires that you seek and receive concurrence from the Council of State prior to exercising the most expansive statewide emergency powers of the governor, Forrest wrote in a letter. Before issuing a March 17th executive order that limited restaurants to takeout and delivery, Forrest wrote Cooper turned to the council for support, despite a majority of the members saying further discussion was needed. Cooper proceeded with the order. Now, here's the thing. I haven't looked too much into this, but let's just say technically Dan's right. Dan's right in that Cooper is technically bypassing these people in order to get this done. Roy wouldn't have to do that if, the people who were in the Council of State and the General Assembly and all this crap would actually take Corona seriously. If you did that and you actually, had brain cells, maybe Roy wouldn't have to, use his executive powers. But you guys are not being smart about this, so he has to do what he's gonna do to keep his state from literally dying. Because here's the thing. You don't understand. His COVID response is not making his poll numbers go down. His poll numbers are going up because he's taking the virus seriously. and he's actually going to he's using his brain. Now, this is literally because he was like, this all is literally just because Roy, here's the thing about Roy. Roy, ever since he first got elected, the General Assembly's been trying to destroy him. Like, legit. The General Assembly's been trying to get rid of him. Like, literally, right when Roy Cooper got elected, here's what happened. General Assembly, passed, 1 million bills, pretty much decreasing the amount of power that the governor's office had, because they wanted to make sure Roy couldn't just do some executive orders. Now, here's the thing. Roy, he ain't, he's not, I don't know how to describe it. I don't think he's necessarily a neolib or anything of the sort. He seems to just be your average social liberal. Maybe I don't know. I guess I describe him to be a bit not even Sherrod Brown. I don't know. I mean, I get not FDR levels or Henry Wallace levels, or he's fine for what he's worth. He ain't cool. He's a cool boy, but he's alright, I guess. I guess it's because he hasn't really been doing anything on the national stage. If he tried to do something on the national stage, then I'd see a major flaw, because the second you go on the national level, you're just big. That exposes your political beliefs. If any of you people on state offices try to go for the national stage, you get exposed for what you truly are. Okay, anyways, Roy's pretty cool. That's all I gotta say. Dan, he's running ads on socialism, even though Roy Cooper's not a socialist, so it's even predicted that Roy will actually have a lot of crossover appeal from Republicans, because there's going to be a lot of Republicans who are just going to vote for whoever's in office, which is going to be Tillis, Cooper, and Trump. They're literally just going to be if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay, this next story is coming from a person whose birthday coincides with mine. Julian Assange. WikiLeaks Assange accused of conspiring with anonymous hackers. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange conspired with hackers affiliated with the Anonymous and LulzSec groups, which have been linked to numerous cyber attacks around the world, according to the new indictment by the U.S. Justice Department. Assange, who's detained in the UK on the U.S. extradition request, gave the leader of LulzSec a list of targets to hack in 2012 and told this person the most influential release of hacked materials would be from the Central Intelligence Agency, National Security Agency, or the New York Times, according to a statement Wednesday from the Justice Department. The LulzSec leader was cooperating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation at the time, according to the statement. An anonymous and LulzSec-affiliated hacker stole emails through a data breach of an American intelligence consulting company that were published in WikiLeaks, according to the statement. Assange indirectly asked the hacker to spam the company again, the U.S. said. The indictment released Wednesday doesn't add new charges against Assange, but broadens the conspiracy allegations against him, according to the Justice Department. The indictment continues to allege that Assange conspired with the Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to crack passwords hashed to a classified U.S. Department of Defense computer, the U.S. said. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. They're telling you the crime, but they're not telling you the thing that they've, they're not telling you what that revealed. The things that Assange revealed during those man hacks, yeah, it was the U.S. sending drones to bomb innocent civilians. Remember that? That's what that revealed. They're not going to tell you who the hell actually... Like, they're not going to tell you who these... Like, what Assange... Like, the actual things he did, because if they told you what he did, you'd like it. That's why him and Snowden and others, they won't be tried... Like, they will never be tried fairly. Free Assange, they'll never be tried fairly, because if they were tried fairly, they could actually explain why they did it. Like, we usually get a motive from criminals, but they're not gonna let Assange give his reasons, because they don't want to hear the reasons, because the reason will make you justified into thinking that he's done it for the right reason, which he did. Like, here's the thing. Yes, hacking into government agencies is technically illegal, but that does not mean it is a bad thing. Illegality does not mean bad. Like, in the 1860s, it was illegal to grab a white person and help them get to Canada. But we praise the people who did that as heroes. We need to remember, it's not just illegality. Illegality and morality are two different things. If Assange was brought to that stand and was asked verbatim, did you hack the U.S. departments, and he gave his reason why, people would sympathize with him and would want him to be freed. Because guess what? Look at all the movies and stuff that we do. We always like these guys. Watchmen, V for Vendetta, all these other things like 1984. We like the underdog going against the governments who are doing bad things. That's just what we do. We like that. Literally watch every story. We sympathize with these people. The whistleblowers that reveal the truth are the ones that we always sympathize with in the movies. But in real life, it's just a no-no. Why do you think people like Anonymous so much? And they literally bring oh, he worked with Anonymous. Yeah, but do you know what Anonymous is known for? Anonymous, they're known for hacking into the Church of Scientology and pedophile websites. We like them. I remember, I was reading, these, things about Anonymous, and everyone, oh, Anonymous is evil and bad. But then, looking back, I'm dude, Anonymous kicked ass. Let's do this, bro. They do good things. It's literally like the people in history books where it's Malcolm X didn't have to be so mean about it, though. Yeah, but in the end, he was probably justified. I'm starting to get into the phase where I'm starting to realize, wait a minute, maybe Malcolm X isn't as bad as my school textbooks made him seem to be. Because my school textbooks, they were saying things like, he's evil. Now I'm looking back and I'm not as much as I thought he was. So yeah, free Assange, and here's to Assange hopefully getting free and given the hero's welcome he deserves. Okay, so now here's some electoral news. We had some losses, but overall the night was a pretty big success. I consider it an absolute win. Again, even though some of my personal endorsements didn't necessarily pan out, but to be fair, one of them wasn't expected to pan out. Like, for example, here are the endorsements that lost. Nate McMurray lost the special election, but he will still be up for the main election, so it kind of doesn't count. Isaiah James lost. Jeff Young lost. He was a progressive Republican, so he was inevitably going to lose. Lauren Ashcraft lost. Tomas Ramos lost. Shanayat Chowdhury lost. And Melaine de Rango lost. Now, yes, those losses are bad, but they're not that bad compared to the wins. Now, I'm going to give the wins in a bit of a chronological order. First, I'm going to have to say the win that isn't finalized yet. Charles Booker now is barely leading Amy McGrath after he was losing her by 10 points for a little bit. I don't know what areas are left to vote. Or at least the areas left counted to vote. But by the 30th, all the votes will be counted, or at least they say they're going to be counted, or at least there's going to be enough to make the final, announce the final winner. But, it's meh. Next is Qasim Rashid. I'm not endorsing him yet, and I don't think I will tonight because it's 12 a.m. by the time I'm recording this, so I'm gonna be probably just hitting the sack after I'm done with this. But his win isn't even big because he's in a heavily Republican district, so yeah, you can see why I didn't get to him on my endorsements tab until in the future. But the next one, who is slightly above, is Dana Walter. Dana was a candidate for the seat in 2018, and she did decently well when she ran against the Republican last time around, and the polls are even showing she might have a victory this year. So, yeah, this one might be a pretty good one. This one I put underneath the other one because I wasn't endorsing this person at the time. Now I am. I should have been endorsing them the whole time, but I just didn't for some reason. Mondaire Jones. Mondaire Jones was running in an open seat and won wholeheartedly. He beat out quite a few contenders. One of them was endorsed by many Congress people, and he was running decently well, and she did good, and he ran as an unapologetic progressive, and he did really, really well. He's even poised to be one of the first gay black men to be elected to the United States Congress. The other one is Richie Torres, who is progressive. He said he was a Bernie delegate, but I think he also endorsed Joe Crowley, so it's he also calls himself a pro-Israel progressive, and it's and says BDS is openly anti-Semitic, and it's no. I'm gonna have to wait to get back to New York 15 because apparently Samalis Lopez was the Working Families Party candidate and has the Working Families Party ballot line, so I don't know if she's going to be continuing her run, but she might, so I might get a chance to endorse Tomas and Samalis. I'm just saying. And the last one is the biggest one, Jamal Bowman. He beat Elliot Engel 61.67% to 34.89%. That's pretty much half. Pretty much half, to be honest. He got 2 times the vote Elliot Engel did. This clearly shows that the left is winning. He may not be winning on the national stage. I mean, they are winning on the national stage, but they might not be winning the presidency yet. But it's clear this wasn't no fad. AOC was not a fluke. It was not a fad. It was literally just the direction the Democratic Party is going in its space. That is objectively true. And this is good because here's the thing. The squad has now officially doubled in Congress. We have Marie Newman, Teresa Legar Fernandez, Jamal Bowman, Monda Jones. The squad has doubled. They doubled, and, we could try and make it a triple. Oh, baby, a triple. Oh, yeah. We can try. Shoot for a triple. See if Charles Booker wins the Senate seat, and we can get a Senate squad going. Get Donna and Mom to be the candidate in Texas 31, because that seat's apparently poised to flip, possibly. Let's go. Let's get it done. Okay, so now moving on to the minor candidate of the day. Charlie Cam of the Transhumanist Party. Now you might say, wait a minute. Why did they change their nominee? I thought Johannahan Ben Zion was the nominee. Well, see, here's what happened. They've been taking a major internal reorganization in an effort to try and push the transhumanist movement. Ben Zion was pushed out because he wanted to be more of a techno-progressive as opposed to a full-on transhumanist. So he was just like, I think I'm better suited going to another political goal to try and get things done. So, you know what he did? He decided to run for the Reform Party nomination instead. Because the Reform Party is still going strong to this very day. So yeah, it's probably for the best. Actually, no, it isn't. It's dumb. Transhumanist Party, this doesn't really affect them one way or the other. But if Ben Zion's not the Transhumanist Party nominee, I don't know specifically what Charlie Cam stands for, because for Ben Zion, I mean, you could probably just look at Ben Zion's platform and just get Charlie Cam, to be honest. Okay, so anyways, now let's move into the main topic of this video. This is an interesting question that nobody else is going to talk about because no one else is interested in this topic. But here is my take on this particular question. How well will third parties do this year? Now, here's the thing. Nobody's asking this question because this is literally just people are seeing this as like, ooh, Trump v. Biden. Who wins? They completely ignore all the third party candidates because it's like, why bother? Now, a lot of people kind of said the similar things in 2016, but this election, believe it or not, is much like 2016. And I know many people, they really don't want to hear me say this same thing again. Like they're like, don't rehash 2016, but let's just be completely honest about this election in 2016. We have another corporate neolib facing off against Donald Trump, who is a racist, right-wing populist thing. And that was literally the same things as 2016. And one thing that people point out is, another thing is, like, the populist left way was trying to take over the party, but the party heads and the media were like, no. Now you could argue, like, they weren't as blatant as they were in 2016, because in 2016, they were like, we can get away with literally anything. But this one, they couldn't get away with it. I mean, they tried to. There were certain moments where they legitimately tried to get away with it, but people were smarter and were like, I see what you're doing, you liars. But then, like, it fell into their hands and they ended up running away with the nomination again. And nobody even sees it coming. Okay, so now with those kind of scenarios, third parties naturally soared due to the, like, nature of the 2016 election to most unpopular presidential candidates in American history. So naturally, people like Gary Johnson and Justin soared. They ended up getting a combined 4% of the vote. That's way more than most other third-party elections. Well, I mean, Ross Perot's running circles around them, but, these two, they did really well for them. And many people were speculating that these two, or just the movements these two started, could do really well coming in 2020. Now, both of them, pretty blatantly, by the end of 2016, those two made it blatantly clear that they would not seek the nominations a third time, which stinks. It broke a tried and true political tradition. I will miss those two. But they pretty much agreed, yeah, we're not going to run for the nominations again. We're going to leave it up to someone else. And here's the thing, there were quite a few people that were pushed to be those kinds of candidates. Like, libertarians were pushing for Justin Amash or Bill Weld. Well, I mean, those two were like the biggest ones they were trying to push as like or Larry Sharp. But those three were like saying, as like, these are the three we need to get to run for the nomination. The thing is, none of them ended up doing it. Like none of them ended up actually seeing the nomination. Then the Green Party had like, people were like, the two biggest names people were throwing around were Jesse Ventura and Jamu Branca, but neither of them ended up seeing the nomination either. Jesse because he's a spoiled brat and he wants the nomination to himself and he doesn't want to put in any work. Like, I don't give a shit who you are. It's just the objective truth. Jesse wants the nomination without putting in any of the work. He said it himself in a Primo Nutmeg interview. I literally hate the fact that someone tried to use that to, like, go against me. That proves my point, not yours. But anyways, like, neither of them ended up seeing the nomination either. So the biggest names for these guys to seek the nominations with didn't end up going through. Now they do have nominees that are decently well. Howie Hawkins and Joe Jorgensen. They're pretty well known for their parties, but there isn't like a big national name they can throw out there. So many people have been speculating that the third party's field won't exactly be soaring this election cycle. Like, even Howard Schultz could have, like, made some kind of big name for himself, but there really wasn't a big soar for third party guys as there was in like 2016. And I think it is to an extent because this election, much like 2004, is pretty much just a do-over. Like, this is what every presidential candidate really likes. They like it when the person they're running against is hypothetically just so bad and so evil that they are literally just going to, like, they hate, like, they'll win in a landslide. That's how John Kerry said 2004. They're like, Bush is just so bad that they would vote for a sock rather than they would vote for George Bush. They were expecting like Republicans to go with them, Democrats to go with them, lefties, independents, whoever. Now, is that necessarily the case in 2020? Here's the thing. Remember, 2004 didn't necessarily bode well. And in 2016, Hillary ran on that same strategy. I'm not Trump, ergo vote for me. And it didn't necessarily bode well. Now, here's the thing. There was one thing that kind of threw a wrench in that could have made Trump do really well. COVID-19. COVID-19 was the thing that threw everything into a loop. Because here's the thing. Now that Trump can't hold his big rallies anymore, even though he really tries to, even though he can't do that. He technically can, but for the most part, he really can't, go around the city, go around the world campaigning for himself. He might not necessarily have the momentum behind him in this time because he can't rally his base. Joe Biden, he kind of has the same issue, but reverse. Him being in hiding is a good thing for him. The less people know about him, the less people hate him. When people see him, they realize they don't like him. And this is his shining moment. But we're not really focused on those two, we're focused on the third-party bid. What's the third-party bid gonna look like? Now, this may 100% be based on the circles I'm in, but I've seen very few general people talking about Joe Jorgensen. I've seen a lot more people talk more about Howard Hawkins. Now again, remember, this could be because I'm just in a bunch of lefty circles. But it seems that there are a lot more people who are on the left that are not exactly keen on voting for Joe Biden. And these large percentage points for Biden are kind of gonna help that. Because here's the thing. All these polls that show Joe Biden in the lead and such are gonna make people be, less likely to vote for Joe. Because, and I think it kind of is what caused Hillary Clinton to lose, to an extent. They kept reporting, Hillary's got a 99.9% chance of winning the presidency. And Donald Trump has a 0.05% chance of winning the presidential bid. We think that Gary Johnson could win more than Trump could win. They were just saying that over and over again. So, a lot more Hillary voters probably didn't turn out. Because they thought it was just going to be this big landslide. And that's probably going to make some Joe Biden people, at the very least, think, so I guess it doesn't really matter if I vote for Joe. And it seems that there's a lot more people on the left that are verbally stating that they are never going to vote for Joe Biden. A lot more people than people who are saying that they were going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And that is a decent thing for the Green Party for you to understand. This means there's going to be a lot more people who are going to vote Green. And here's the thing, a lot of these people are just saying they're going to vote for Green no matter who it is. They're not going to probably vet the Green. They're just going to know that Green is the most likely candidate that's going to be on their ballot that they agree with the most. Ergo, they'll vote for Green. And that's the thing. Here's my major predictions. My major predictions are mostly revolving around the Libertarian Party and the Green Party. I predict, my major prediction of 2020 is that in this election, Greens are going to be third place. And they will have Ralph Nader-like numbers. Now here's the thing. Does that mean they're going to be exactly Ralph Nader's numbers? Not exactly. They're going to be above Nader's numbers? No. But I expect something close to Nader's numbers. Like, Nader got like 2.45%. So maybe Howie gets 2.35% or 2.40%. Or maybe he does get that fabled 3%. I think, and it's mostly like Nader got it because of his household name status and his charisma and all that junk. Howie's mostly just gonna get this because right place, right time. A lot of people, they don't know about Green Party primaries. They don't know anything about any of that. So this whole Jesse Ventura crap and all this junk is just gonna flow right by them. They're not gonna care. They're just gonna vote for Green because it's the best chance to give an FU to the two-party system while being ideologically consistent. Libertarians, they're just not in anymore. Like, the thing about political trends, it's not in anymore. This third part, like, libertarianism is just not in anymore. It was in when it was first founded. Well, not even when it was first founded. It was in during the Ron Paul times. And now it's not in anymore. People see libertarianism for what it is. And it's just not cool anymore. Right-wing populism isn't in anymore. Well, I mean, it is, but the populist pendulum is kind of shifting to the left. At least in the US. So, yeah. Greens, they're going to do decent in this election. They're going to do well. They're not going to do above Nader, but they're going to be at least Nader. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified that future video comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, follow my Facebook, Twitter, join my Discord, or check out my articles in the Independent Political Report.